Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of PDPMO. I am your host, Richard. Today I'm going to be reviewing the 1997 blockbuster Titanic. For this site, I'm going to be jumping back and forth between newer movies and older movies. I just did, my last two ones were newer ones with Eternals and then the Tomorrow War, so I'm going back to a classic, Titanic. It was one of my requests. I put something on TikTok out there just asking like what are people's favorite movies, what are the worst movies they've ever seen. So feel free to comment your suggestions on looking those up, and then I can get on reviewing them. So the reason I decided to pick Titanic, I mean, it's really tough to disparage a movie that made over $2 billion worldwide. Again, with the site that I'm doing here, I'm going to be talking without giving any spoilers away for a bit. Although realistically, I mean, I know this is the old joke. Yeah, the boat sinks. Not that kind of spoiler. But if you haven't seen Titanic already, now's the time. So, did I love this movie? No. I did enjoy it. It was a very good movie. But if I were to look at, say, my favorite movies versus, I think, what are the best movies of all time, it's not anywhere near the top of my favorite movies, but I will say it is one of the best movies of all time. The reason why it didn't quite hit for me is what I'm going to get into right now. So the premise of the story, and this isn't the spoiler part yet, Jack and Rose are the main characters, and they, meet on the Titanic, and, it's their love story. And then, of course, the Titanic sinks and everything that happens between there. So now I'm just going to, at this point, so yes, great movie. For those of you who are watching and don't want to know anything about it, now's the time to leave. So again, thank you for stopping by. But now getting into the actual movie. For me, the thing that bothered me the most about this movie is actually one of the things that most people like the best. And that is the relationship between Jack and Rose. Maybe this was back before Crystal Skull ruined me. I went in with really high expectations. I wanted to see a movie about the Titanic. With the creation of the two main characters of Jack and Rose, it quickly became apparent that this wasn't a movie about Jack. This wasn't a movie about Titanic. This was a movie about Jack and Rose that just happened to take place on Titanic, which is fine. I understand. This isn't a documentary, and this is a movie designed to make money. They wanted to have this love story. I just felt that there were so many stories, real stories that happened on the ship that you could have focused on. But James Cameron, who wrote and directed Titanic, wanted to have the tragedy of the romance set in the setting of Titanic, and I get that. That's how you get people to come back, is just this powerful story. But for me, the characters of Jack and Rose, I didn't mind Jack so much, but Rose I had issue with, simply because I felt it was all a little over dramatic. I mean, she's supposed to marry Cal, played by Billy Zane, who is kind of a douchebag. Is a wealthy douchebag. Her family needs money, and so they're basically setting up this marriage. And she doesn't want to get married, and I get that. But she runs to the back of the boat, is going to throw herself off the boat, and it's very Romeo and Juliet. I mean, I'm not saying things aren't that bad, but things aren't that bad. There are worse things that happen. I mean, yes, is he an ass? Absolutely. Are you probably going to be miserable? Yes. Is it worth killing yourself over? No. So I felt that her character was a little weak, and then Jack kind of talks her off the boat, and they end up falling in love, and the star-crossed lovers story, I think is a little. I'm not a huge fan of that style of story, but I mean, it is what it is. I mean, again, $2 billion. I mean, I didn't make a better movie, is what I'm saying. But it was about reviews. coming back again and again and again. Because I mean, to make $2 billion, this isn't about people going to see the movie once and being like, "Hey, that was a good movie." What James Cameron did is he built this spectacle, like this thing that had to be witnessed. And it's one of those movies that you really did have to see in theaters. Because I'm not saying that if you watch it at home, you're not going to enjoy the movie, but to really get the scope of what he was able to pull off, the theater experience is the way to go. More importantly, though, and this is one of those things that Hollywood is guilty of. For a long time, Hollywood was really an industry driven towards male fans. Basically, they viewed the men as the driving demographic, and so all the movies that they're made were geared towards them. And women, they all got the same. They were just fed the same diet of period pieces or rom-coms or just run-of-the-mill dramas. This was the first movie, like obviously not the very first movie, but one of the main movies to really just blow the stereotype of what a romance could be. I hadn't seen anything like it before. I mean, it's just the sheer scale, and I say that, ironically, because I mean the scale model of the ship was incredible. But it really like tapped into a new resource of money, and that was women were finally getting this chance to experience a love story that was bigger than life, and I thought that was great. One of the big things that I love in this movie are the performances of real life characters. Bernard Hill as Captain Smith, stand out. He was also great as King Theoden in Lord of the Rings. But yeah, he was great. Kathy Bates as the unsinkable Molly Brown. Billy Zane as like Cal, who everyone hated. But for me, Victor Garber, who played Thomas Andrews, the shipbuilder. He was wonderful. There's that scene in the movie where the ship is going down. Jack and Rose are running, and Rose sees him in the dining room fixing the clock. And his face is like he knows the end is near, but he's still just trying to make a brilliantly acted scene. I'm a huge fan of Victor Garber. Two actors I would like to point out: Jonathan Phillips and Ewan Stewart, who played Second Officer Lightoller and First Officer Murdoch. For me, so much of this movie was driven by their performances, because everyone knows the story of Titanic, and one thing that I didn't really think about is what the crew actually went through to try and save as many people as they could as the ship was sinking. And Lightoller, who actually ended up being the highest ranking officer to actually survive the sinking, and Mr. Murdoch, who did not, I thought were excellent. And special props to Ewan Stewart, who played Murdoch. For those of you who don't remember which one was which, he was the one who fired the shot that killed Jack's friend Tommy, and then he killed himself with a shot to the head. Now, when this movie was released, his family, like his grandkids and whatnot, were upset by the portrayal of the character, because by all accounts, he never killed himself. Like, to the last moment, he was trying to save people, and they felt that the suicide was an act of cowardice. For me personally, I never viewed it as an act of cowardice. I viewed the portrayal as a noble and honorable man who mistakenly killed an innocent person whom he was trying to save, and because of who he was as a person and his nobility, he couldn't live with that, and he killed himself. So I'm not expecting the family to ever see this, but if by any chance they do, please know that for me, I loved the portrayal, and it actually inspired me to actually look up First Officer Murdoch and read his story. And like, a truer hero you will not find. Like, truly just an amazing story. So please know that at least one person, I guarantee you there's more than me, at least one person knows it was much more than that. With the movie, I mean, you've got amazing cinematics, the set, the costumes, the music. I know My Heart Will Go On was just like overplayed and everybody got sick of it, but it's an amazing song. James Horner with the music, it was just stunning. Visually, there's a scene in the movie that is one of the most beautiful things I've seen in films, and that's where Jack is on the boat and he knows that Cal and his bodyguard are going to kill him, and Rose is going down in the lifeboat and she's looking up at him and he's looking down at the music's swelling. It's just this powerful scene, and then the camera is on Jack and the flares are coming down behind him. Like, that is just an incredibly powerful scene. So well done, so well acted, so well filmed. Yeah, just props. Again, because I didn't care for the main characters, I can't put it on my list of my favorite movies. One of the best movies. Yeah, like it's going to be hard as far as especially romances. It's hard to top this. So, did it piss me off? No. I would have liked more realism with the main story, but no, it did not piss me off. Great movie, great romance. If you want to watch a romantic movie, if you have the time, sit down. The only thing that was kind of weird is like afterwards, like after the movie came out, there was actually a person named Jack Dawson who was a crew member, and he has a grave in the cemetery where the people who were killed are buried, and like people would like drop flowers there, and like it just got really weird, and like people would leave, like women would leave like hotel keys. Like, what exactly are you hoping to happen here? Because this is either going to be like a zombie movie or some predator is going to come by. It ends badly no matter what. So I don't understand what the point was. And then poor Billy Zane, like brilliantly acted role. Everybody hated Billy Zane. Like, he's even commented on the fact that this portrayal followed him. Like, it was like, you're responsible for Jack and Rose not being together. It's like, no, he's acting. Same thing happened with Tony Goldwyn in Ghost. Oh, people hated him. Like, you got in the way of Sam. It's just weird. But yeah, no. Long story short, great movie. If you have a chance, check it out. Know that it is long, but you likely will not see anything like it. So if you like my review, keep those requests coming. I'm loving it. I got a couple of great movies on board. I got a couple of really stinkers because some of you are really funny. Wow. But yeah, click like and subscribe, and I'll keep these going. And let's keep the dialogue going because I love talking movies. Talk to you soon. Bye.